Hello, good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody. Lucas, can you hear me okay?
Everything's fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. This show starts now. Hey, welcome, Lucas. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you can hear and see us all right in this live session. Let us know, drop a quick comment. Can you hear us? Is everything okay? Where are you watching and listening from? Are you in Switzerland? Are you abroad? Let us know where you are. And don't forget to like, to comment, and feel free to share with your friends. I am Lee Diamond, living in Zurich. I like to consider myself an expert recruiter with 13 years experience in the business. Lucas, my dear friend and colleague here in these sessions, maybe introduce yourself briefly, let people know who you are.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Lucas. As you can hear, I'm from Switzerland. I live in Zurich. I'm also a recruiter. I recruit techies at Rockstar Recruiting. Before, I've been a headhunter and executive search here in Switzerland in the media industry. But now with Rockstar since 1 year almost. Loving it, love tech recruiting. It's a great industry to work in. And yeah, I'm very excited about the session that we're having now.
Yeah, awesome. And I have to say, Lucas working at Rockstar, he's also a rock star in what he does for the job-seeking community. For those of you who don't know Lucas, make sure, if you speak German, make sure you go onto his YouTube channel. Just to quickly give you a glimpse, this is his YouTube channel. He has hundreds of videos. I mean, you can see there's some of them more than 10,000 views, all about different topics, about advice, about CVs, motivation, salary discussion. I mean, everything. If there is a topic to discuss or to learn about how to improve, Lucas has done a video on it. I think it's probably fair to say.
Thanks, Lee. It's very kind of you. Yeah.
No problems. So make sure you check it out. There's some fantastic comment, great advice. And the comments are coming in perfect. Everybody can hear us. We have people from Winterthur, from Switzerland, Rumlang, Guten Morgen miteinander.
Hoi zusammen.
Yeah, hoi zusammen. Again, and also from Geneva, bonjour.
Geneva.
Yeah.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great, man.
Today it's a live session, right? And me and Lucas have done these Ask a Recruiter sessions before in the past. The difference is now it's less spontaneous and sporadic, and really with a desire to launch these and do these once a month with different topics, right? Why are we doing it, Lucas?
Because we love it. It's such fun. I mean, the sessions that we had before, they're great fun, and the echo was really immense. So I got so many messages after the last one, the salary one we did. So Lee and I thought that it would be a good idea to take this step and make it, like a format that we can repeat monthly. And that's why it's just a lot of fun, and I think it really helps people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a unique opportunity. People don't always get the engagement and the chance to actually ask a recruiter a direct question, get some feedback on really challenging and tricky topics. And we're going to also try in these sessions to do things a little bit different. This is the first episode, and it's a live Q&A. Of course, come in, ask your questions, and we will get to them and answer as many as we can. But what we also decided to do on today's session, there'll be different things going on in the future, but for today it's ready for review. And we decided to do something a bit different. We are actually going to review a CV live that we've received from a candidate, from Harish. So thank you very much for sharing your CV with us. And, the idea is we want to show you, how does a recruiter look at a CV? We're going to take that CV and give some advice on it, tell you, okay, these are the things that we think that Harish could do better, that could improve the overall appearance, appeal, and obviously address any other questions around it as well. So it's a unique insight into how does a recruiter break down and look at a CV. So with that, you ready, Lucas?
I am. Let's
All
go.
right, let's go into it. So let me bring up the first page of the CV, and probably need to move myself a little bit out from Harish, based in the Romandy. So he is a mechanical engineer. Hasn't yet had, as we can see there, actual work experience, more research and studium, basically, up until recently. I know that was one of the things that he wanted us to talk about. You know, how do you position yourself if you don't have that much work experience or any work experience when trying to get a job? But yeah, I mean, let's jump straight in with my first question to you, Lucas. Your first glance, what's your first impression of the first page, let's say?
Yeah, so this is a CV format that I'm very familiar with. It's a typical CV of a specialist who really fits into a certain industry or a certain role, like as a mechanical engineer. It's a very technical CV. It's all about facts on this one. And I think it's a good CV because this is what people in that field want to see. They want to see the facts. So it doesn't have to go pretty marketing about it, I think. So I really like this. If he would apply for another industry, maybe things might be changing then. But for the industry, like as a mechanical engineer, all in all, I think it's a good CV.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's clean, it's professional, it's well represented, it's well written. You can clearly see the experience that he's had, the education, also the research projects. So I think visually it's appealing and very factual, as you say. There's always the question about the picture, right? In Switzerland, what's your opinion on that?
In Switzerland, I would definitely use a picture. Within the industry where Harish is applying now, it's not really necessary, so he can also leave it away. But I would say in 8 of 10 cases, I absolutely think a picture or a photograph belongs on the CV here in Switzerland. I know in other countries it doesn't. It's even almost like forbidden or just a no-go. But here in Switzerland, I would say most of the cases do it. If it's very technical, like tech recruiting or mechanical engineering and stuff, it's okay to leave it away. But in general, in Switzerland, use a nice photograph.
I agree. People may disagree with it. I think that having a photo actually gives a nice visual appearance to a CV. You know, we're always talking about people. You know, our business is all about people behind, so it gives an opportunity to show something. I think Harish has a nice, you know, breaking into a smile in the picture. I think it's very warm, and it's a good picture.
It's a good picture. Yeah.
So
I have an input.
For
I have an input. If you're not a mechanical engineer, if you're more like, let's say, communication person or marketing, sales, of course, I think the picture is very important because, I mean, you are going to be the face to the customers, so the company has to see what you look like. It's very important. If you are like more in that kind of industry, and Lee and I, we really suggest using a picture then, make sure it's a modern one. So I would rather go for a picture like this. I just looked it up now. Sorry, where's the camera? Here. I would rather go for something like this. This is way more modern. This is how today's CV pictures should look like. So you don't use the passport pictures anymore because the pass photo is for the passport, and your application photo is for your application. So you want to use something like this. Again, let's go back to Harish. I don't think that Harish has to use a picture like the one I showed now, because he's a mechanical engineer, and that's perfectly fine. He can even leave it out, in my opinion. But if you are in sales, marketing, communication, you know, stuff like that, I really recommend to use a nice picture like the one of this lady here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, visually, that if I look at Harish's CV, the white behind his CV, like this passport photo style, does, I feel it could be improved by having maybe a background or something something there, as opposed to being just on white, for sure. What do you think? You know, what else jumps out to you when you look at that? I mean, there was something when I took a first look that, as a recruiter, that stood out immediately and actually raised some red flags to me.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean, or should I jump into it?
Please jump into it. I'm very curious about it. Yeah.
From a recruiter point of view, if you see under the personal details, obviously date of birth, everything like that, which again is one of these things that in Switzerland that people generally do. I mean, people will find out how old you are in a process, but I understand that there's some fears about discrimination or ageism, if that's the right word. But there immediately I see permit in processing, and the nationality Indian. Now, we know that in Switzerland, as a non-EU, it's extremely, extremely hard to get a permit, unless you are such a specialist, because ultimately companies need to prove they've spent the last 6 months looking for somebody in Europe with a European passport who can fit that job before going to a non-European passport holder. And the fact that it says permit in processing leaves a huge amount of ambiguity. And I think many recruiters or HR people, rightly or wrongly, would look at that and say, too complicated.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I need to go and find out information. You know, I'm always an advocate of saying, if somebody has to look, and it doesn't matter if it's a CV, if it's whatever it is in our life, making an application, offering a service, if somebody has to go look for something when you want something, then it's already too much.
Exactly.
If it's more than one click, it's too much.
Yeah.
And then, because people are just going to make assumptions in processing, okay, well, come back to me once you actually have it.
Yeah.
Now, if the situation is, for example, as I understand from Harish, he's marrying a Swiss lady, so he will be eligible to have a permit.
Exactly.
And there, I think that needs to be clear.
Exactly. It has to be easy. It has to be easy to employ Harish. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Permit in processing, perhaps in brackets, through marital status to a Swiss or something like that. So then I know, as a recruiter, as a HR person, it's in processing, but it's going to happen. You know, in processing could mean in 3 months, in 1 year, however it may be. So I think that's the biggest thing to get you over that first hurdle. Okay. Yeah. What do you think about a summary? People like a lot of people like summaries. Do you think that in Harish's example that he needs to have a summary there?
Yeah, I'm also a fan of summaries. But in Harish's case, if he applies for a mechanical engineer role, he doesn't need one. It's all about facts. I think his CV is really, really good. Hey, and man, I totally agree. I want to double this. I mean, don't leave any questions, and like try to get all the hurdles out of the way. So be very proactive, make it very easy to hire you. Yeah. As easy as it gets. I'm totally 100% with you with that permit thing. So if Harish has a Swiss wife, that should be on the CV, because this is like, oh yes, I love this profile, this guy is awesome, and it's very easy to hire him. So that's a big plus. I mean, these are exactly the details that can decide if you get the yay or the nay. It's very good input. Well, back to summaries. I am a fan of summaries, but not for, like super technical profiles such as Harish, but more like if we go back, to those marketing, sales, communication, and so on profiles, I would definitely work with a summary, because this is one of the first things that you see. So first, you always see the photograph, I mean, we humans, we are visual human beings. You know, we are visual persons. If we see a picture, we immediately look at it. We cannot, you know, like do anything about that reflex. So
Yeah.
it should really be a good picture, like the one that I have shown before, and it should be a nice picture where you look like a professional and everything. And then the next thing what recruiters look at are, you know, like formalities, like how old are you, where do you live, the permit thing exactly, and so on. And then where do you work now, and what companies have you worked for? Okay. And this is like a check. It takes maybe 3 seconds, then it's done, and then they look at your summary. And the summary should contain like the 3. It doesn't have to be 10. I think it's even a mistake to use more than 3. It should have the 3 best reasons. And I'm talking hard skills now, not soft skills. The 3 main reasons why you can do the job. And that should be on the summary, and it should be different every single time you apply for a job. What do you think?
I agree. I think, you know, the summary can be a good opportunity to answer, going back to not leaving anything uncovered or that people have to look for information. Summary can be a great opportunity to highlight anything that you might feel could be a concern in the process. So, for example, it could be in Harris's example that he said, you know, having recently relocated to Switzerland to join my wife, my Swiss wife, I'm looking for my first opportunity as a mechanical engineer. You know, so something along these lines. Even as a mechanical engineer, I still think it kind of answers a question that would be asked in the HR recruiter's mind, and then again already answers it. So, okay, that's his reason. You know, why is he not working now? Well, he's only just recently arrived in Switzerland or in the past period of time, and I think it can also be an opportunity. You know, let's say if you're not using a cover letter, to just kind of that tick box, you know, where somebody, a job requirement or a company is looking for these 3 skills, and within that summary, as you say, you can really highlight that, emphasize on it, and catch the recruiter or HR person's attention in that moment.
I mean, I think what we are both talking about is people need a reason to hire you, or let's go one step back. People need a reason to invite you for the interview. They need a reason why to do that, and you have to give them that reason. You have to get away like all the hurdles, hurdles have to get out of your way, and you have really to give them a reason. So when they look at your CV, they should be like, yes, finally a good one that I really can use for this job. Perfect. Here is reason 1, 2, 3. He's an easy hire. This is going to be brilliant. He goes on the good, you know, on the good on the good side, you know, when you have the nose and the go. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Or the long list before the short list is.
Or on the long list. Really give the people a reason to invite you to be excited about your profile. And this is not about what you think is important, like your success. I mean, I see so many CVs, they do like competency masturbation, I call it, or the success masturbation. Like, I did this and that, and I'm an expert in this and that and that. You know, those bragger CVs, I cannot have a look at them anymore. They just bore the shit out of me. You have to show me, you have to give me a reason why I should invite you for I mean, just because you had successes in the past, it doesn't mean that you will repeat them again. Does it? No, there is no guarantee. So you really have to give me the reason that you can be the solution for the problem that I have published in the job description. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll come back to that, because one of the questions I've had for the show is around kind of, you know, if you have a lot of experience and kind of what do you put in, what do you not? But we can come back to that a little bit. So I think something as well that Harish does very well, you know, we talk about length of CVs. Now, there is a second page, which I'm going to show in a moment, but the fact that ultimately within one page, he has that experience, the overview, it's very clean, it's very factual. I think he does that really well. And sometimes we see CVs, and this could easily be stretched across 2 to 3 pages with more information, but it's not necessary. I think the more concise and precise you can be, the better. Our attention spans these days are not the highest, let's say. But then, okay, let's jump quickly onto the second page, because this is a little bit interesting. So there is a second page to the CV, and here it is. So what is your first initial reaction to that, Lucas?
It's good if he's applying for a role with an academic background or with academic tasks, like this is a very academic CV with all the publications on it. And I know he's a mechanical. I still like it because I recruit techies and I want to see this because it's just very helpful for me. It shows me in what fields that their expertise lies, and this is very helpful. But I mean, again, if he would be, like a marketing communications person who writes books and everything and has articles in newspapers, that would be way too much.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think personally, I think it's a lot of information. I understand where you're coming from. I feel that it could be reduced and still have the same effect, because you don't have to list all of these publications. Perhaps you could go with the titles as opposed to the description, and then it already is going to reduce it a lot, because it looks like it's a lot of information on the page. My eyes are kind of going everywhere. And compared to the first page, which is really clean, in fact, very easy to read, I think it then is a little bit too much information. So I would try to clean that up a little bit. I like that he has hobbies in there. I think also, obviously, the software skills is good, languages as well. In general, a CV, does languages belong on the second page, on the first page, right at the top? What do you think for the Swiss market?
I think it really depends if language is important. Let's say you are a salesperson and you work in Switzerland. Switzerland has 4 different languages. And let's say, one is German, one is French, one is Italian, one is Romansh. And if you are a salesperson who is, let's say, responsible for German-speaking part and French-speaking part, or for all of Switzerland, let's say you are like a country manager, then I think this is super important that you are fluent in all the country's languages. So it should be like in your summary on the top, like the first thing I see is, hey, this guy or this lady speaks all the languages we need. That's a big plus. If not, you put it back on the second or on the third on the third page. That's how I see it.
I find that often people who don't speak the either the local language or perhaps some of the needed languages, I feel they often try to hide it somewhere towards the end. Even if it's, even if it would say French is a nice to have, and then people hide it because they think, I don't speak French, so I don't want to make people aware of it immediately. But ultimately, they're gonna see it. But I agree with you. It depends on if it's important for the role. And he mentions there in learning process. Again, I might be even a bit more specific, because if you're actually learning and going to classes, I would maybe even show that. To show kind of that you're making a real effort to integrate yourself, to learn the local language. I think that says a lot about an individual as well. If I'm thinking about hiring someone, or I'm a HR person, I see actually they're enrolled, they're at A1 level or A2 or whatever it may be, and they currently have a 2-month intensive course. That shows me about them that they're making an effort really to develop themselves as well.
Or maybe even share the name of the course. Like right now at the moment learning German at, let's say, Migo Clubschule B2. And this is very nice because it already, it gives the other person a reason. It gives the other person a reason to believe you, to hire you, to invite you to an interview. It gives the other person a reason, like, hey, this guy's really learning it. He's now at Migo Clubschule. It's just a good thing. The more precise you can be on that kind of things, the higher is the chance to get to the interview. Hey, cool. I have a little input for the publications. It just It just triggered something. What I do with clients, sometimes we use an extra sheet. So we make the CV like very short, like sometimes 1 page or sometimes 2 pages, sometimes 3 pages. It depends on the level of the role, of course. And then we use we call it extra blatt, or in English it would be something like extra sheet, you know, or extra page.
Addendum or additional page, yeah.
Yeah, additional page. And this could be helpful for Harish too, because he could like use an extra additional page, like one PDF, where he has all his publications on it. And it would be called like Harish underline publications and the date. And that would be very useful, I think, for Harish. I have done this a lot with people. It's a super, super nice tool, and it works fantastic. We also, you know, like add some personal flavor sometimes. So one day I had a client and he was applying for Red Bull, and he did like his proper CV, and then he did an extra additional page, and that was like an alternative CV that portrayed him as a mountain biker. You know, it was so great. Different photo, you know, like all the specs, but always, you know, like this is the routes I've done and the kilometers, and this is the hardware I'm using and stuff. It's great. Or I had another guy, he was an Indian guy, and you know, we have that little prejudice, or how do you call that, like Vogelteil? Thank you, prejudice, exactly, thanks. That Indians know something about curry, you know, and he just made a joke out of it, and he was like making an extra sheet saying like, and these are the best 5 curries in town in Zurich, and here is my curry receipt. I must know because I'm an Indian. And that was so great. I mean, if you want to spice up, like literally spice up your application, use an extra sheet where you can pack some extra information on. It can be projects, publications, or the best 5 curries in town.
Absolutely brilliant. I'd like to have that list, I tell you. I am
awesome.
a big fan. Okay, so basically, to kind of slowly come to a wrap up on the CV review, I think, you know, based on what you've just mentioned as well, it could be easy enough that Harish put, for example, the important elements from there, which is the language, maybe the software skill, and perhaps hobbies as well, and put that into making it 1 page on the first page that we have here. And then having the publications as a second one, not to perhaps distract, depending on who he's applying to. So the key 3 bits of advice for Harish to take away, what he can do to improve the CV. What's your final tips there?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Maybe just use some well-chosen publications, the one that really fit the role. And then work with a publications extra list. I would definitely do that. Maybe go for a 1-pager. Because that's a lot, you know, like in technical roles, engineering, a 1-pager is perfectly fine. Just show them what they want and leave out the rest. You can talk about it later in the interview. Just give them what they want, and then they have a reason to invite you and talk with you about further things. Maybe hand in an extra sheet with the publications, as we said. Do that thing that Lee said about the permit. So that you're having a Swiss wife. It's fantastic. It really takes away a hurdle, a big one, out of the way. It could be a deal breaker. And for me, I mean, if you need the space, you can leave out the photograph. If you want to keep it in, it's okay too. I think it doesn't really do much about your success. What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, again, me personally, I would add that summary, the couple of lines to say, recently relocated to Switzerland to be with my future wife. You know, this is the thing, just to answer that question that may be asked, to make it a one pager. Have a separate document for the publications, because then it's there if they need it and want it, but it doesn't distract from the CV. Yeah, I think these are the key things that I would say for Harish to improve his CV. So, yeah. Okay. So let me also jump into the comments. I think there was a couple of comments along the way, and Harish, I hope that has given you some good advice and ideas to take away and to improve, and also for for you watching. Hopefully it gives you a bit of an understanding about how we as recruiters look at a CV, how we dissect it, the things that stand out to us, and maybe you can think and reflect about your own CV and how that looks. So coming into the comments, Jacques had a comment where he said, yes, we should convince the recruiters, but in these days, it's often refused by AI, by the automated automated
algorithms.
systems. Yeah, exactly. What's your view on that, Lucas? Do you feel that the AI is already so advanced that people are being rejected before a recruiter or a HR person looks at it? Is that often the case? What's your feeling there?
I have to say, but it's just my personal feeling about it. It's way überschätzt. So it's
overestimated.
Overestimated, exactly. It's almost not happening in Switzerland. Some like big consultancies do it, but it's almost not happening. Like in 99%. I'm just talking about Switzerland, not about America. Here in Switzerland, in 99%, it's a human person who makes the decision and not the algorithm. So I think it's way overrated and overestimated in media. And also on LinkedIn, like I see, I had like dozens of comments about this. Like, yeah, there is nothing I can do. The algorithm will clean out my CV before. It's not true. It's still a human person. I'm absolutely sure about this.
I think the only way that I've seen it that an algorithm or that you can be rejected in such a way is if there's clear knockout questions, black and white questions that you're asked during the recruitment or let's say during the application, submitting your CV. So you send your CV and it says, how many years of experience do you have? Do you speak German? Are you based in Zurich? Whatever it may be. And if you answer no to one of these knockout criteria, then perhaps you're going to receive a rejection. But I actually agree with Lucas here. I think that 9 times out of 10, the CVs are being reviewed by a human, by a HR, by a recruiter before people are being rejected. But as we say, that's our feeling on the Swiss market. I'm sure there are examples as well, Jacques. But hopefully that answers or gives you our insight and viewpoint from that.
Maybe what's also important is that a lot of people don't know what CV parsing is. So I hear a lot from candidates that they parse my CV and then I'm out. It's not true. CV parsing is only a tool that you don't have to type in the CV by hand. It's just a scan that goes over your CV to put the information into a CRM. That's what CV parsing does. And this is, of course, used by, let's say, 80% of the companies. This is in use a lot. And sometimes people mistake this for the algorithm that sorts out your CV because of certain criteria.
Absolutely. I mean, it basically means that we as recruiters can put in keywords that you have on your CV to find you in our database.
Exactly.
So just looking through the comments as well, Francisca has put, let me just see here. So Francisca came in and said, if there is the extra page, recruiter maybe has 60 to 90 seconds, or online tools are not really made for the extra page. I think what she means here is that we were talking about the extra page, or you were mentioning about creating this extra document, and that perhaps recruiters won't go to it.
Well, it's an extra document. It's not it's an extra document. Of course, everything on the CV is still more important and counts. That's my answer to it. So if your CV is convincing and gives them the reason to invite you, they will probably read through your extra sheet as well. So CV is still number one.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks for the question, Francisca. I hope that's all. I hope we answered it correctly. Beatrice has come in. She says she works as a quality engineer in life sciences. 4-page CV. Is it too much? And so let's first of all answer that part of the question. Is 4 pages too much?
Great question. Both of them. Love them. I think it's too many pages. Well, we have quality engineers within our community, and they go with 1 to 2 pages. I think it's enough, and it also kind of forces you to really calibrate your competencies to the need of the other person who you want to give a reason to invite you to the interview. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say without knowing Beatrice's experience and how many years of experience. Based on the picture, I would say she looks quite young. I wouldn't imagine that she has that much experience that it needs to go over 4 pages. So my gut feeling would also say, I always feel that 2 to 3 pages for me is a bit of a sweet spot in regards to CVs, but I think it depends. It's very different depending on what industry you're working in, the type of job that you do. I think 2 pages is a fantastic length to have. 1 page can be tough. I think it's tough for people to put in, and we can come to a question that I was asked about afterwards in regards to kind of if you have so much experience, what to put in. But
totally agree. There is one thing that I would like to add to this. You can use the power of a 1-pager still if you have a 2-page CV. So you really boil it down, like to the things that you really have to have on the first page, and then use the second page for additional information. So you can really use it. It doesn't have to be a 1-pager all the time. It can be a 2-pager, but you use the advantages of a 1-pager, of course. This is something great, I think, and we use that kind of strategy a lot and very successfully. And I think Beatrice can do the same, really use the power of a 1-pager, do the extra stuff on the second page, and maybe I think as a quality engineer, she has a lot of tools and certifications and stuff, maybe do an extra sheet, like with a table, with a list, where it's all on there. So if people who are interested in the detail, they can look it up there.
Yeah, with the exception of if a job is clearly stating that they need certain certifications or certain tools, I would make sure that's on the front page, or again, coming back to the point about the summary.
It should be on the top then. Like if they need, let's say, Jira or something like that, like they have an agile environment and they need a Jira Confluence, and you are a pro in it, then don't hide it, like on the bottom of the table, put it right up there, right on the billboard, man.
Okay. So, and then the second part of Beatrice's question was, do you think the cover letter should be more creative and honest?
I have to think. Very hard to answer. It's so individual. It really depends on the company, the culture of the company, the role, your profile. There is many factors that define how your motivation or your cover letter should look like.
Well, before we talk about that, Lucas, cover letter, yes or no?
Yes.
Always?
I am team cover letter.
You are
I think it's a great tool.
Letter.
Yeah, sure. Use it, man. It's there to use it. Write a great cover letter, because 9 of 10 cover letters are shit. So you can really use it for your advantage.
And you personally, as a recruiter, read every cover letter that comes in on a CV, or only if the CV is relevant?
My eyeballs fly over it at least once. And if I like it, I will read it 10 times.
Okay. I mean, I have to say the same. I've had circumstances where I'm probably on the opposite team to you, no cover letter. But I have had situations with candidates that I would normally reject to give and to that people can understand. I had a candidate without. I recruit recruiters, and I only recruit experienced recruiters. And there was a scientific profile that of a young graduate who wrote such a fantastic cover letter that I thought to myself, hey, maybe this person is a diamond in the rough for my clients. And even though normally they only take experienced people to me, he had such a fantastic cover letter. I said, let's have a conversation, and subsequently was able to help find a job for this person. So there are exceptions also if I'm on the other side. But I agree with Lucas in regards to, I mean, should it be more creative and honest? I think it depends on the company, depends on the type of job that you're going for. And, honest, it depends on what that answer is, So it's hard to say exactly. Oh, hold on, wait, I see. Beg your pardon, Beatrice. With honest, I mean more casual writing style. There you go. So I was a bit curious about what you meant by honest. So more casual writing style. What's your feelings there, Lucas? Should a cover sheet be formal, informal?
I cannot answer it. I mean, now I would like take two websites, one of a Big Four consultancy and one of a very creative indie agency.
Yeah.
So I think the answer is clear. Where do you go for the casual writing style? Where do you go for the formal? It's really depending on the company culture. Speak their language, be one of them already when you apply. And you really have to be like Bruce Lee, be like water. You just fit whatever size the glass is.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow. It's up to you. Yeah.
Perfect. No, great answer, I think. And thanks so much, Beatrice, for the question. Hopefully we answered your question. But yeah,
really love the question. It's great.
And so now we've got a question coming from Tobias. Thank you very much for the question. How does this all apply to a contract or freelancer CV? I guess there's a lot of different things we've covered in the last 40 minutes. So it's hard to say exactly, or let's say on each different point. But what would you say? What would you say in general about the advice that we've been giving for, or let's say, what should a contractor or freelancer do differently? Let's put it that way as a question compared to what a permanent employee should do differently.
I think it should be very focused on facts. Facts, what you have done in the past. I would really work with tables here. I would really focus on facts, like competencies, hard skills. It should be a clear hard skill thing. And maybe just go with one line about your soft skills, like you are a sympathetic communicator and that you have, for example, led projects and maybe even teams and stuff, and you are valuing a good working culture, but that's it. The rest should be hard skills. Maybe if you're a developer, it should be technologies. If you are a marketing person, it should be tools that you're using, like Hootsuite or what do I know, social media tools and so on. Like should be about facts. And I would not really go for success stuff. I would go for results. Just results, like very sober results, very fact driven. I think that what I would do with a contractor CV.
Yeah, I think one of the key things that I would recommend, Tobias, and in general to people who are contractors and freelancers, is to actually make it very clear that that's the situation, because too many CVs that I've received in the past, I used to when I started in recruitment, I was recruiting for IT contractors. And I think too many people don't make it clear from their CV. And what sometimes you can think is, wow, okay, this person spent 6 months here, 1 year there, 6 months there. They haven't stayed in a position for longer than 1 year in the last 5 years or last 10 years. So I think it's very, very important to do two things from my experience. One is to make sure that you put in brackets or somewhere next to the time duration that it was a contract or freelance position. If you had any extensions, to mention that, because what looks fantastic is initial 3-month contract extended 4 times up to 2 years, for example. That shows that you came in for 3 months and actually did a great job. They kept you, they extended you, and that can look really attractive on a contractor CV. And like Lucas said, I think sometimes you can put achievements. Was brought in to roll out the new Windows implementation across X amount of things, achieved within a shorter time period than a few kind of tangible things that you can touch and feel. Sober
and neutral. Yeah,
that would be the biggest advice I would give to contractors, freelancers. Make it very clear.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen that someone from HR who's not familiar with contracting reads your CV, so that tip that you gave with really mark that it was a contracting position. I think it's super worthy piece of advice.
Perfect. And apparently my translation was great, as Tobias said. And Beatrice, she will be like Walter. There you go.
Yeah, be like Bruce Lee. Come on.
But like Bruce Lee. Fantastic.
Beatrice Lee.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And Jack said as well, thanks for the exchange. He has to jump off. Ready for a new challenge. If anyone's looking for a French-English family office person, Jacques is obviously your man. Okay, good. So I think we've covered most of the questions, or all of the questions actually, that are in the chat at the moment. So if you have, I've got one or two that came in previously. So if you have questions you would like to ask, now is the time to do it. And I think now we can go to one of the points that came up and that was a bit of a theme as well in some of the questions. If I have broad skills, or let's say a lot of skills, which do I include? How do I not list, let's say if it's a technical person and they've touched and used so many different tools, how do I not make myself look like a massive generalist, but at the same time not miss out with certain buzzwords and things that a recruiter is looking for when they're looking for my CV? What's your best bit of advice you can give there, Lucas?
Maybe it's a metaphor. So you have a block of stone, like a rock, but like a thing like that, like a real block of stone. Mm-hmm. And then you are, I don't know the English word, maybe you can help me. You are ein Bildhauer, so a guy who goes like this, and works on the block.
Okay.
Let me look it up. I will look up the word.
Bildhauer.
Bildhauer. It's it's a sculptor. A sculptor.
Ah,
a sculptor. Yeah.
Okay.
And think of yourself as being a sculptor. So you have that nice block. It's like a universe of skills and expertise that you can offer. But now they want a sculpture of Napoleon, let's say. So go to your block and take your tools and sculpt out a nice Napoleon. You don't have to send all of the block. I mean, that's not what you should be doing. You should really be a sculptor and work that sculpture that is being looked for. I think that's the best piece of advice that I can give. Look at yourself as a sculptor.
Yeah, I think it's really important. A really good bit of advice from Lucas there. You can't be the jack of all trades. You can't have everything on the CV, and don't take it as a misrepresentation of all of that fantastic experience that you've built up over the years. There's only a certain amount of information our eyes can take. There's clear kind of, as a recruiter or HR person, clear kind of things of, okay, we want somebody with, these 5 skills. Make it as easy as possible for them to see that, and really, tailor your CV for the opportunities. You don't have the chance to send, or you don't want to be sending your CV, a general CV, to 20 different companies. You want to tailor your CV really well to 2-3 opportunities and stand out as the person that they're looking for.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you consider yourself a generalist, I have that topic a lot. I mean, what is a generalist? It's very, very individual. It's like you can see yourself as a generalist if you have different roles in the same company, or you can consider yourself a generalist if you have, like a life, like changing roles a lot, very like different industries and so on, different hats. So who is more the generalist now? We cannot tell this. Being a generalist is a very individual thing, how you see it yourself. But if you have a job description, never ever apply as a generalist. Like, hello guys, I'm an all-rounder, I'm a generalist. They will be like, okay, we have other people who fit the role better than you, goodbye. Never ever do that. The only way, or the only time you do it, is when they say, hey, we're looking for a generalist. Then you apply and say, hi, I'm a generalist. But if they're looking for something specific, never ever apply as a generalist. Apply as a specialist. A specialist for that problem that is written on the job description.
Exactly. Listen, think about it like, let's say, for example, that you have, from a health point of view, let's say, from an example, that you have a problem with your back. You're not going to go, you're not going to focus and go to see just purely a generalist doctor. You're going to want to go see a chiropractor or somebody who's a specialist who can help you, who knows exactly how to help you with that problem. And it's the same thing with a CV and applying to jobs. So, okay, Francisca was quicker than you with her. With
sculpture, yeah. Thank you, Francisca.
Exactly. Thanks so much for that. Maximilian has come in with a question. I think there's something on his settings which is why it says LinkedIn user, but I see it's Maximilian, so thank you very much for the question. What is your go-to break in the ice phrase you use with potential clients on cold calls?
Okay.
So, yeah. How do you break the ice when you're doing a cold call with a potential client? This is a bit more of a recruiter question, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Well, what I do is I call them and I come just straight to the point. I just tell them the reason why I'm calling. I call them and say, hey guys, I've seen you're looking for, let's say, a quality engineer, and I have a lady here. She really can do this and that and this. And of course, I have prepared myself and I had tried to figure out what are like the most burning needs that they are having. And then I really try to catch these and I go like, see guys, I have a nice lady here. She's a quality engineer. She's got this and that, like masters in, let's say, whatever. And she really can do Jira, Confluence, and she has 5 years of quality insurance knowledge. In what way would it be interesting for you to see her profile? And then I just wait and see what they say. And mostly there comes a conversation out of this, and we talk a little about this and that, and I can maybe send a presentation, or I think most of the time I can even send the profile. That I think I would just not steal people's time. Just call and say what you want. That would be my breaking the ice.
I think, I mean, obviously taking a candidate and going proactively with the candidate to a client is a much easier way to do a cold call than calling to and trying to differentiate yourself. It's very hard to differentiate yourself on a first call as a recruiter, calling a client. I mean, Maximilian, maybe we come back to that on another session focused around the recruiters, let's say, as opposed to the CV session. But I guess one of the things that I would probably just a quick one to give you on that, Maximilian. I like to ask people a question that they can start to get really passionate about. For example, what excites you, or what is it about a candidate that excites you? What do they need to bring for you to be really excited about them? And people then start to talk with passion and things like this, but we can come back to that. Beatrice asked another question here. Should she omit her earlier experiences, the ones that had nothing to do with current and professional goals? Depends. I mean, what we sometimes see, and we as recruiters can tell very quickly if somebody has quickly put a CV together. Because what often happens is you have an experience, let's say 2005 to 2010, which takes up half a page, and then the last 3 years, which is like 2 lines. And we can see that somebody has just quickly added a couple of lines to their old CV and done that. So I think if it's not relevant, then you can certainly make it very small. It could be a title, a period, and perhaps one or 2 bullet points, or not even any bullet points, just a title and a period, if it's not relevant to the new job. That's what I've done personally in the past, and only then focused maybe on the last 5 years, the last 10 years. That's really what people are going to be focusing on and looking at. But what do you think there, Lucas?
I have nothing to add. I would do the exact same thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Perfect. And Francisco added she's a generalist in administration.
Exactly. That's funny. And another guy would say I'm a generalist because I'm a guy who does administration and I surf and I also do a bit of programming. I mean, this is so subjective if you are a generalist or not. Great comment. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's session. The time has flown by. It's almost been an hour. We did a unique review of CV at the beginning of Harish's CV, and hopefully there was some good takeaways for you all in regards to how a recruiter looks at a CV, what we go for, and perhaps some tips and advice. It has been an absolute blast as always, Lucas. Thanks a lot for joining the show, for bringing your energy and positive vibes on a Friday morning, as you always do. It's been really fantastic, and yeah, the next session will be in about 1 month's time. We'll continue with the idea with different themes. That today was about CVs. Next time will be about other topics, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who added a question. Yeah, let's leave it with that. Anything to add? Last words, Lucas?
I just can tell that I really enjoy these sessions. They're great. And Lee, you're just the man. I mean, the way you put this all together, again, you know, like that intro and the session and organizing all that stuff, it's just brilliant. And just keep doing it. Keep being awesome, man. Great job. Thanks, Lee, for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lucas. Hey, thank you, everybody. Wish you a wonderful Friday. Enjoy the sunshine weekend. It's going to be a beautiful one, a hot one. So get the barbecues out. Enjoy the football, and yeah, see you all soon.